Night breeze meets warm sunshine. Chapter 1 Rainy day at the shared apartment. Rain in London in June always comes without warning. In the early evening, the originally clear sky was suddenly covered by thick grey dark clouds. Fine drizzles wrapped in cool evening wind pattered against the glass windows of the old-style apartment by the River Thames. The air was filled with the fresh blend of wet grass and damp brick, the most ordinary scent of London's midsummer. Lola Bennet dragged a heavy cream-white suitcase and stood downstairs of a retro brick-red apartment building in the Notting Hill district, wiping fine raindrops from her forehead. She had just graduated from art college, bidding farewell to the dormitory she had lived in for 4 years, and officially stepping into this familiar yet strange city. At 22, she had shed the childish greenness of campus life, yet her eyes still sparkled with unworldly warmth and enthusiasm. Dressed in a simple white knit short sleeve and khaki cargo shorts, her fluffy blonde curls were dampened by the rain, clinging softly to her fair cheeks. She had crescent-shaped eyes that shimmered with tiny stars when she smiled, bright and pure. In her hand was a newly printed tenancy agreement, its edges slightly damp from the rain. After comparing dozens of properties, she had finally settled on this old apartment, quiet in location, excellent in lighting, and most importantly, affordable for a fresh graduate's salary. The only special thing was that it was a shared flat. Before leaving, the agent had reminded her kindly, "Lola, your flatmate is a gentleman in his 30s with a little daughter. He's quiet, reliable, and never noisy. You'll have a peaceful stay here. He's just a bit taciturn and introverted, so please be a little understanding." Lola had nodded with a smile back then. She was never picky about flatmates. Compared with noisy and restless young people, a gentle and quiet roommate suited her perfectly. Having just stepped into society, all she wanted was a stable nest to adapt to workplace life and settle into her new life steadily. The apartment was on the 3rd floor with no elevator, only winding old wooden stairs that creaked softly under footsteps, a soothing old song. Lola dragged her heavy suitcase up step by step, raindrops dripping from her umbrella and forming shallow puddles on the steps. Stopping in front of room 302, she raised her hand and knocked gently on the solid wooden door. Faint noises came from inside, first the soft thud of slippers on the floor, then a deep, mellow male voice, warm as cashmere warmed by post-rain sun, inherently calming. One moment. The lock twisted softly, and the door slowly swung open. Lola's breath caught slightly the moment she lifted her eyes. The man standing at the door exuded ultimate maturity and composure. Eli Hunter wore clean dark gray loungewear that fitted his tall, straight frame perfectly. At 32, he had outgrown youthful restlessness and was imbued with the gentle reserve unique to mature men. His short light brown hair was neatly trimmed, with soft strands falling on his forehead. He had classic exquisite British features, deep-set eyes, a high straight nose, clean thin lips, and a defined jawline that held no sharpness, only mildness. There was perennial gentleness in his eyes, veiled by faint weariness, as if polished countless times by life. Gentleness was his nature, and detachment his shield. What softened Lola's heart instantly was the little girl held securely in his arms. The child looked no older than 4, wearing white lace bare pajamas. Her big dark eyes were like clear black grapes, round and bright. She had a soft pink round face and long curly eyelashes. Quietly nestled in the man's arms, she showed no fear of strangers, only curious bright eyes fixed on the newcomer. "Hello, I'm your new flatmate, Lola Bennet." Lola quickly composed herself, breaking into her usual bright smile, her voice clear and soft like summer soda, refreshing and soothing. "Sorry to bother you." Eli's gaze fell on her, sweeping over her lightly. The girl was brimming with youthful vitality, bright, warm and vivid, a ray of sunshine piercing the mist, stumbling into his dull life. He had met countless sophisticated and utilitarian young people in the city, but never one so pure and untainted. He nodded slightly, stepping aside to make way for her, his tone polite and mild. "Hello, I'm Eli Hunter. This is my daughter, Mia. Come in, it's pouring outside." Hearing her father's introduction, the little girl raised her small hand obediently and greeted in a milky, tender voice. "Hi, sister." The soft childlike voice melted all Lola's exhaustion in an instant. She smiled till her eyes crinkled, bending down to reply softly, "Hi Mia, you're so cute." Lola pushed her suitcase into the apartment, and the door closed gently, shutting out the rain and noise of the street. The room was warm and cozy, filled with a faint blend of woody scent and sweet milk fragrance, impeccably clean. Decorated in classic vintage British style with pale beige walls and dark brown wooden floors, the living room was furnished with a soft light gray fabric sofa and a fluffy plush carpet by the French window. Lush green plants stood in the corners, creating a warm and healing atmosphere, nothing like the messy clutter typical of a single man's home. It was obvious at a glance that the resident was highly disciplined, life-loving and family-oriented, keeping every trivial detail of life in perfect order. "Your room is on the second floor, facing south. It has the best lighting and view. I've cleaned it up for you in advance." Eli took her slightly damp umbrella, propping it neatly on the entrance shelf, his tone steady and considerate. "Let me know if you need any daily supplies. I've sorted out water, electricity, gas and Wi-Fi bills, which we'll split equally at the end of each month. I usually clean the common areas, so you don't need to worry about it, just keep tidy." His words were well organized and thoughtful, kindness hidden in every detail. Warmth flooded Lola's heart, and she nodded quickly. "Thank you so much, Mr. Hunter. I really appreciate your trouble. Just call me Eli." He corrected her gently, his tone relaxed and free of formal estrangement. "No need to be stiff as flatmates." As he spoke, Mia poked her little head out, her eyes fixed firmly on Lola. The pretty sister with the warm smile and nice scent was impossible to resist. She stretched out her soft tiny finger, touching Lola's curls lightly, and whispered in amazement, "Sister's hair is so pretty." Amused by the little girl's innocence, Lola squatted down to meet her eyes, pinching her soft cheek gently. "Mia is prettier." Eli looked down at his daughter's rare vivid smile, a faint softness flickering in his eyes. Mia had lived with him since birth, quiet and reserved, never taking the initiative to approach strangers. She was unusually warm and outgoing today. "I'll carry your suitcase upstairs for you." Eli lifted the heavy luggage effortlessly. "No, please don't trouble yourself. I can do it." Lola waved her hand hastily. "It's no trouble." His tone was calm, firm yet gentle. "The stairs are steep. It's hard for you alone." With that, he turned toward the stairs, holding Mia steadily in one arm and the suitcase in the other, his posture tall and unwavering. Following behind him, Lola stared at his broad reliable back, a quiet sense of security settling softly in her heart. She had met countless perfunctory adults in her life, but few so meticulous and considerate. Maturity, restraint and gentleness were embodied perfectly in him. The second-floor bedroom was even better than she had imagined. The south-facing French window brought in ample natural light, with lush sycamore branches swaying outside. The post-rain air was fresh and clean, carrying a faint grassy fragrance with the wind. Spacious and spotless, the room was fully furnished with a wardrobe, desk and mattress, obviously prepared with great care. "It's absolutely perfect. Thank you so much, Eli." Lola's eyes lit up with sincere joy. "I'm glad you like it." Eli set down the suitcase softly. "Settle in first, call me anytime if you need anything. Feel free to use the kitchen anytime, there's food in the fridge if you get hungry at night." He then withdrew quietly with Mia, thoughtfully leaving her private space to unpack. The door closed softly, leaving the room in silence. Standing by the window, Lola watched the dispersing dark clouds, with fine golden sunlight spilling over the wet streets, soft and bright. She had a faint premonition that this unexpected cohabitation encounter would be the luckiest thing after her graduation. Downstairs in the living room, Eli sat on the sofa holding Mia, who lay on his shoulder, and asked softly, "Dad, is the sister going to live with us forever?" "Yes. Be nice and polite to her, okay?" Eli stroked his daughter's soft hair gently, his tone full of doting tenderness. "I like sister." Mia nodded vigorously, her big eyes sparkling with sincere delight. "Sister's smile is warm, like the sun." Eli's fingers paused slightly. He glanced toward the second floor, a faint smile crossing his eyes. "Yes, like the sun. Bright, vivid and unrestrained, carrying the youthful vitality he had long lost." His life had long been filled with trivial chores, work responsibilities and the burdens of being a single father. 3 years ago, he had ended his miserable marriage, which was consumed by endless quarrels and cold wars. His ex-wife craved freedom and romance, tired of plain daily chores, refusing to take on maternal responsibilities, and finally left resolutely to pursue her own freedom. Their marriage ended peacefully without hysterical disputes, only accumulated disappointment day after day. He had obtained full custody of Mia, shouldering all the responsibilities of raising his daughter alone. For 3 years, his life had consisted of nothing but work, daughter and family. No entertainment, no social life, no self-time. His days were stable and regular, yet dull and monotonous like a stagnant pool of water, never rippling again. He had long grown accustomed to loneliness, handling everything on his own, hiding his emotions and enduring silently, thinking his rest of life would remain plain and repetitive. Until today, this ray of sunshine named Lola broke into his dull life unexpectedly. Chapter 2. Seeing each other every day. Lola spent the whole afternoon settling into her new room. Golden sunset streamed through the French window, covering the wooden floor with warm light. She arranged her paintings, green plants and small ornaments one by one, instantly brightening the empty room with youthful vitality. By the time she finished and went downstairs, night had fallen over London. The quiet city was lit with warm street lamps, and the evening wind brushed through sycamore leaves with a cool rustle. Soft warm lamplight filled the living room. Eli was sitting on the carpet by the sofa, building blocks with Mia. All his usual composure and reserve faded away, leaving him gentle and soft. He lowered his eyes, long eyelashes casting faint shadows on his eyelids. His slender clean fingers adjusted the tilted building blocks patiently, without a trace of impatience. Mia sat cross-legged on the carpet, concentrating on building her little castle, whispering to her father from time to time. Her milky voice echoed softly in the quiet room, warm and harmonious. The warm father-daughter scene tugged softly at Lola's heart. She stood at the stair landing without disturbing them, watching quietly. She had never seen such a patient and tender father. Most British men were casual and unrestrained. Few could be so delicate and gentle, devoting themselves to trivial parent-child moments with such earnestness day after day. Eli looked up at the sound of footsteps, a faint smile flickering in his eyes. "All settled?" "Yep, all done." Lola walked down lightly, her tone cheerful. "The room is perfect. Thank you so much, Eli." "It's fine." Eli stood up gently. Mia immediately dropped her blocks and trotted over to Lola, tilting her head up. "Sister, will you build blocks with me?" The little girl invited eagerly, her eyes shining brightly. "Sure." Lola squatted down with a bright smile. "I'll play with you." Her arrival filled the quiet living room with lively laughter. Ingenious and deft, Lola helped Mia build a layered castle, decorating it with colorful block windows and roofs. Eli sat aside and watched them silently. The girl's clear laughter was like wind chimes tinkling in the evening breeze, pure and healing. Her tenderness and patience toward Mia were sincere and unpretentious, no worldly flattery or hypocrisy. At 22, Lola was as pure as blank paper, warm, passionate and candid. A faint warmth seeped into the long-dormant corner of Eli's heart, blowing away the thin layer of dust that had settled there for years. At 7 in the evening, Eli walked into the kitchen to prepare dinner. "Let me help." Lola followed him in immediately. "You stay with Mia." Eli glanced back softly. "I've got nothing to do. Two people work faster." Lola opened the fridge naturally. "I can cook simple meals. I won't mess things up." Her bright sincere smile was impossible to refuse. Eli nodded slightly, letting her stay. Warm kitchen light wrapped around them as they worked side by side, quiet and harmonious. Eli was an excellent cook, every moment precise and orderly, chopping ingredients, blanching and seasoning with steady skill. He prepared homely British dinner, pan-fried salmon, creamy mushroom pasta, vegetable salad, and milky mashed potatoes specially made for Mia, light, nutritious and delicate. Lola washed ingredients and set tableware neatly, tidying up the countertop carefully. They chatted casually about the weather, the neighborhood and daily trivialities, no awkward formality, just natural easy conversation. "Are you busy with work?" Lola asked while arranging plates. "Not really. I'm a freelance interior designer, mostly working from home with flexible hours." Eli stirred the pasta gently. "It makes it easier to take care of Mia." Lola understood instantly. That explained why he chose to share a flat flexible working hours and a child to care for required a quiet stable living environment, and occasional company to warm up the mundane days. "I just graduated. I'll start working at a visual design company next week." Lola shared her new plans with eager anticipation. "It suits you perfectly." Eli glanced at her with faint admiration in his eyes. "You have the aura of creativity and agility that designers need." His praise was sincere and unpolished, no empty courtesy, warming Lola's heart softly. Dinner was served soon. Warm lamplight fell on the table, wrapping the fragrant food in gentle warmth. Mia ate quietly and obediently without fussing. Eli carefully picked fish bones, cut the salmon into small pieces and stirred the mashed potatoes for her, every movement filled with doting meticulousness. Watching the warm scene, Lola sighed inwardly. Eli was an impeccable father, gentle, responsible and utterly family-oriented. He had no talent for grand romance, but devoted all his tenderness and patience to his family and daily life. After dinner, Lola took the initiative to wash the dishes and clean the kitchen. Eli did not compete with her, only wiped the table and countertop spotlessly with a cloth. They cooperated tacitly without a single word. Their cohabitation life began naturally and smoothly. Day after day, they saw each other morning and night, inseparable in daily life. Every morning, Lola woke up to soft morning light, walking downstairs to find Eli preparing breakfast in the kitchen: toast, fried eggs, warm milk and oatmeal, simple yet delicate and warm. Mia would sit obediently at the table, greeting her with a sweet "good morning, sister" every time she came down. Lola helped set tableware and pour milk, occasionally getting up early to make breakfast as a little surprise for the father and daughter. During the day, Eli mostly worked quietly in his study, drawing designs and communicating with clients without a sound. Lola sorted out her entry materials and practiced design works by the window, occasionally sketching. They busied themselves separately in the spacious apartment, not disturbing each other yet aware of each other's presence, filling the quiet house with warm human vitality. On warm afternoons, Mia trotted over with picture books, asking her father for stories or clinging to Lola to draw and play games. Lola was incredibly good with children, gentle and patient. She read picture books, drew doodles and played with Mia in a soft soothing voice. Her sunny temperament was like an invisible magnet, drawing the little girl close and slowly warming Eli's dull life. Every evening when Lola came home from work, the faint aroma of home-cooked food greeted her at the door. Eli always prepared dinner in advance and kept it warm for her. He never deliberately waited for her, yet took perfect care of her habits silently. He remembered she disliked salty food, preferred light flavors and loved sweet and sour fruits, tenderness hidden in every trivial detail. At first, Lola felt restrained and polite, always rushing to share housework and cook to avoid taking advantage of him. But gradually, she grew used to this warm mundane life. Eli's kindness was never deliberate flattery, but inherent breeding and nature. He was used to taking care of others and sorting out all trivialities in life, giving silently without asking for anything in return. In turn, Lola's sunshine and passion gradually changed this dull home. She bought bright fresh flowers to put in the living room vase, adding vivid color to the house, played soft soothing music to dispel loneliness, shared interesting daily stories, street scenery and design inspirations with Eli, took Mia to grow flowers, feed birds and feel the evening breeze on the balcony. The once silent and cold apartment was gradually filled with laughter and thick worldly warmth. Eli clearly felt his own changes. He no longer stayed silent all day, drowning in work and trivial chores. He began to look forward to the morning sunshine, the bright smile at the dining table, and the light footsteps returning home at dusk. His life had long been nothing but responsibility and monotony, finally infused with vivid warmth. On a Wednesday evening, a violent storm suddenly hit London, with howling wind and torrential rain. Lola had to work overtime and forgot her umbrella, trapped downstairs at her company. Staring at the raging rain, she was about to rush home in the downpour when her phone rang suddenly. It was Eli. She answered quickly, her sweet voice tinged with helplessness. "Hello, Eli. Finished work?" His mellow voice came through the receiver, steady and reassuring. "It's pouring. I guess you forgot your umbrella. I'm coming to pick you up." Warmth surged through Lola's heart instantly. "How did you know I'm working overtime? And that I have no umbrella?" "You left your umbrella at the entrance this morning in a hurry." Eli's voice remained soft. "I've looked up your company address. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Wait for me in the lobby, don't run around." No gorgeous words, only meticulous thoughtfulness that made her eyes sting slightly. He remembered her little carelessness, her daily schedule and her workplace, silently paying attention to every detail of her life without showing it. "Thank you so much, Eli." Lola's voice softened with warmth. "It's all right." Hanging up the phone, Lola stood in the warm lobby watching the raging rain, her heart filled with steady warmth. For the first time since coming to this strange city to struggle alone, she felt the reassuring warmth of being cherished. 10 minutes later, Eli's black sedan pulled up steadily at the company entrance. He stepped out holding a large black umbrella, his tall figure straight and calm. Heavy rain wetted his hair and shoulders, but he paid no mind, striding quickly to the lobby glass door to look at her. Lola grabbed her bag and ran out quickly. The umbrella was wide enough, but he tilted most of it toward her, leaving his entire left shoulder exposed to the rain, soaked completely through. "Hurry in the car," he urged softly. Lola sat in the passenger seat, warm and dry, surrounded by his clean faint woody scent. She turned to look at him, noticing his soaked shirt clinging to his back and raindrops hanging on his hair. "Your clothes are all wet." She handed him tissues softly, tone tinged with distress. "You could have waited for the rain to lighten up, no need to rush." "It's fine. I didn't want you waiting too long." Eli wiped his hair casually and started the car calmly. "Mia's waiting for us to have dinner at home." The car drove steadily along the rainy street, warm streetlights casting flowing light and shadow on the windows. The carriage was quiet and soft, filled with gentle background music and their steady breathing. Lola stared at the man concentrating on driving, her heart softening endlessly. 32-year-old Eli was mature, gentle, steady and family-oriented. Having weathered life's storms, he still treated the world with sincerity and kindness. He had seen the coldness of humanity and experienced a broken marriage, yet never became negative or cold, only gentler and more considerate to life and others. Such a man was incredibly rare. At this moment, Lola clearly realized that her feelings for this gentle flatmate had long surpassed gratitude and simple fondness. A tender warm affection had quietly taken root and sprouted in their daily intimate cohabitation. Chapter 3 Gentleness is his true nature. Back at the apartment, Eli urged Lola to take a hot shower and change into dry clothes to avoid catching a cold, then dried his hair and changed his wet clothes silently. When Lola came downstairs fresh and clean, the dinner on the table was reheated and steaming hot. Mia sat quietly at the table with her hands on her knees, lighting up with a sweet smile at the sight of her. "Sister, Dad made your favorite cherry tomatoes." Lola walked over quickly and sat down, her heart full of warmth. Almost all the dishes were light flavors she loved. She had never deliberately mentioned her preferences, only casually spoken of them a few times during meals, yet Eli had remembered every single one silently. Gentleness hidden in details was the most touching and heart-stirring. "Eat while it's hot." Eli handed her tableware softly. "Must have been tiring working overtime today." "A little, but the hot dinner makes all the tiredness go away." Lola smiled brightly, her eyes sparkling with sincere warmth. The dinner atmosphere was exceptionally soft and relaxed that night. After the meal, Lola insisted on taking over all housework. "You went out in the rain to pick me up and got soaked. Just rest, I'll handle everything." Eli smiled faintly at her earnest stubbornness, not arguing with her. He sat in the living room playing with Mia, his gaze falling on the busy girl from time to time. Under the warm lamplight, her lively figure tidied the house neatly, like an eternal sunbeam illuminating his long dull life. After 4 weeks of cohabitation, they grew extremely familiar and tacit with each other, no longer awkward and polite, bound by unspoken intimacy and ease. They shared breakfast naturally, divided housework casually, chatted about trivial daily things, helped each other in busy times, and whispered goodnight when meeting in the living room late at night. Day by day, Lola saw more clearly the gentle nature hidden under Eli's calm exterior. He never spoke loudly, always calm and stable, rarely irritable or angry. Even when Mia acted coquettishly or threw small tantrums, he never scolded harshly, only comforting and guiding her patiently with soft words. One sunny weekend morning, Mia refused to eat breakfast and clung to Eli coquettishly, craving candy. "Baby, you can't eat candy on an empty stomach, it's bad for your teeth and tummy." Eli bent down to hold his daughter gently, firm yet indulgent. "Finish your breakfast nicely, and I'll take you to the park this afternoon. You can have one candy when we come back, okay?" Mia pouted with teary eyes but nodded obediently, sitting back at the table to eat. Lola watched from the stair landing, filled with emotion. She had seen countless single parents who either spoiled their children blindly or grew tired and irritable from the burden. But Eli always kept the perfect balance, gentle but principled, doting but not indulgent, giving his child the most stable growth environment with the softest attitude. It was precisely this extreme tenderness and sense of responsibility that made Lola fall deeper for him. After breakfast, Eli prepared to take Mia to the park. He glanced at Lola painting by the window and invited softly, "We're going to Hyde Park for a walk. Want to come? The weather's lovely for relaxing." Lola looked up and met his gentle deep eyes, smiling and nodding immediately. "Sure. I'm tired of painting, a walk sounds perfect." Their time at the park was relaxed and healing. Hyde Park was lush and green in summer, with verdant lawns, clear lake water, swans swimming leisurely, soft evening breeze and warm mild sunshine. Mia broke free from their hands, running and chasing butterflies on the lawn, her crisp laughter filling the whole grassland. Lola chased after the little girl, playing with her and laughing brightly, youthful and vivid. Eli walked slowly behind them, his gaze softly fixed on the 2 figures ahead. Sunlight gilded Lola's curls with a warm golden glow. Her pure passionate smile was the brightest light of summer, unrestrained and dazzling. Little Mia clung tightly to her hand, relying on and trusting her completely. The scene was warm and perfect, like a tender oil painting. A never-before-felt sense of peace and warmth flooded Eli's heart. For 3 years after his divorce, he had grown used to loneliness and incompleteness, living only for responsibility and plainness. But at this moment, he truly understood what a full and warm life felt like. Life with company and laughter was incredibly healing. They rested on a lakeside bench later. Mia leaned softly in Lola's arms and whispered, "Sister, I love you so much." Lola stroked her soft hair gently. "I love you the most too, Mia." Eli watched their intimate interaction, his eyes soft and tender, speaking in a low sincere voice. "Thank you, Lola." Lola blinked in confusion. "What for?" "You made this home so much livelier, and Mia so much brighter." Eli's tone was genuine. She used to be quiet and reserved, rarely smiling or talking actively. "She's changed so much since you moved in." And so had he, silently healed by her sunshine. Lola's heart stirred softly, looking into his deep gentle eyes. "You're the ones who healed me. I was so lonely when I first came to this city after graduation. You two gave me a home to belong to." Their eyes met quietly, subtle tender affection flowing silently between them, unspoken yet palpable. The sun was warm, the breeze gentle, the lake sparkling and the air filled with fresh grass fragrance. In this moment, Lola knew clearly that she was utterly fallen for him. She loved this 10 years older man, divorced with a child, gentle and steady. It was no fleeting novelty, but sincere affection nurtured day by day, touched deeply by his tenderness, sense of responsibility, kindness and devotion to his family. Yet hesitation and unease lingered in her heart. A 10-year age gap, vastly different life experiences, his failed marriage and lovely daughter stood between them. She was young and ignorant, new to the world with a blank future. He had weathered countless storms, bearing heavy responsibilities with a settled life. This unequal encounter and hidden love could not be spoken rashly, only treasured and fermented silently in her heart. On their way home at dusk, Mia fell asleep tiredly in Eli's arms. Eli held his sleeping daughter with extreme gentleness, every moment cautious for fear of waking her. Lola followed quietly, holding their belongings for him. Back at the apartment, Eli laid Mia on the bed softly, covered her with a quilt, and stared at her sleeping face with overwhelming doting tenderness. Lola stood at the door watching, her heart softening completely. How could anyone not fall for such a family-oriented, responsible and gentle man? Eli walked out of Mia's room and spotted Lola in the corridor, pausing slightly. "Why aren't you resting?" Lola looked up at him, her clear eyes glistening under the light, earnest and soft. "Eli, you're the gentlest and most responsible person I've ever met." The sudden sincere compliment stunned Eli for a moment. He fell silent for 2 seconds, a faint self-mockery flickering in his eyes, his tone calm and mild. "I'm not that good. I failed at my marriage. I couldn't keep my family whole, couldn't give Mia a complete home." It was the first time he had taken the initiative to talk about his past marriage. Lola listened quietly without interrupting. "My ex-wife and I met and fell in love in college, young and naive, thinking we'd spend our whole lives together." Eli leaned against the corridor wall, his voice low and flat, no resentment or regret, only calm recollection. "After marriage, we realized we wanted completely different lives. She craved freedom, romance and novelty, tired of trivial daily chores and family responsibilities. I yearned for stability and plain warm mundane life. We quarreled and compromised endlessly after marriage, draining each other day by day. Even after Mia was born, she couldn't adapt to being a mother, unwilling to be tied down by family, so she chose to leave. We separated peacefully with no disputes or struggles. I fought for full custody of Mia, and since then I've focused on work and raising her well." A few simple sentences summed up all the regret of his failed marriage. He did not blame his ex-wife, nor complained about life's unfairness, only accepted all outcomes calmly and shouldered all responsibilities alone, treating life and his child with everlasting tenderness. Lola's heart ached for him as she watched his calm profile. The world only saw his current gentleness and calmness, but no one knew the disappointment and exhaustion he had endured, or how he had survived those tough lonely days to become such a kind and gentle man. "It's not your fault." Lola's voice was clear and firm. "It's not wrong to pursue freedom, nor to yearn for stability. You're just incompatible. You've done perfectly well. You're the best father and the best person." Her unreserved trust and recognition pierced straight into the softest corner of his heart. Over the years, people either sympathized with his status as a divorced single father or regretted his failed marriage. No one had ever affirmed him, understood him or felt for him like Lola did. Eli stared at her, complex warm emotions surging in his deep eyes. This young pure girl possessed an incredibly tender and transparent heart, able to see through his restraint, understand his gentleness and feel his pain. The evening wind blew through the window gap, stirring their hair. The air was quiet and soft, with hidden affection rising quietly between them. At this moment, Eli clearly admitted to himself that he had long fallen for this passionate young girl. But he was 10 years older, weathered and burdened with past scars and heavy responsibilities. Mature reason told him not to disturb her pure and bright youth. Her life was supposed to be unrestrained and brilliant, not trapped by his past and burdens, not tied down by trivial family chores, not faced with worldly judgment and gossip. He could only restrain his throbbing heart, hide his affection, guard her silently and accompany her quietly. Chapter 4: Restless Heart, Hidden Tenderness. Their tacit conversation about the past subtly changed the atmosphere between them. Outwardly, they remained well-mannered flatmates with restrained and appropriate interactions, yet their hidden care and affection had long crossed the boundary, warm and surging in secret. Eli took increasingly meticulous care of Lola's life silently, thoughtful in every detail. Knowing she suffered great workplace pressure and often stayed up late revising design drafts, he warmed a cup of hot milk for her every night and placed it on her desk. Aware of her sore back from long hours of drawing, he prepared heat patches and reminded her to rest regularly. Noticing she had no time for meals during busy projects, he prepared bento lunches for her to take to work. He never showed off his kindness or expressed his concern explicitly, only giving selflessly and softly in daily trivialities. In return, Lola grew more considerate of his hardships, feeling for his tiredness of balancing work and single parenthood. She took the initiative to undertake most housework, cleaning, laundry and tidying up to lighten his burden, sat quietly with him when he worked late, handing him warm water and preparing midnight snacks silently, devoted time to accompanying Mia, teaching her to draw, read and tell stories to share his parenting trivialities. They understood and healed each other, turning plain cohabitation days into the warmest mundane happiness. It was 1 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night. The whole apartment building was dead silent, only the light in Lola's room still on. Her company required an important design draft to be submitted the next day. Lacking experience, she was under immense pressure, revising repeatedly all night without finding the right feeling. Days of overtime and mental tension left her physically and mentally exhausted, lost and helpless. Stiff from sitting too long and overwhelmed by anxiety, she lay her head on the desk, her eyes reddening faintly. The confusion of entering the workplace, the exhaustion of high-pressure work and the loneliness of struggling alone flooded her heart all at once, weighing heavily on her. A soft knock sounded on the door, gentle and cautious, afraid of disturbing her. Lola quickly wiped the moisture from her eyes, adjusted her mood and answered softly, "Come in." Eli pushed the door open and walked in. He wore loose loungewear with slightly damp hair, having just showered, exuding a clean fresh scent. "Still awake?" He approached softly, glancing at the dance design drafts on her screen, his tone gentle. Trouble with work? Lola nodded, her voice hoarse with suppressed grievance. I've revised the draft so many times but still feel it's lacking. It's due tomorrow for preliminary review. She forced a smile to hide her exhaustion and confusion, but her tired eyes betrayed her completely. Eli's heart ached at her forced composure. He leaned slightly forward to examine her design carefully. As a senior interior designer with sharp aesthetic insight and professional sensitivity, he spotted the problems at once. Your composition and color logic are great, and your creativity is vivid and talented. He affirmed her efforts first sincerely, not criticizing directly. Only the detail connection is a little stiff, and the theme isn't prominent enough. A little revision will make it perfect. He pulled over a chair and sat beside her, his slender fingers touching the trackpad to adjust the details patiently and meticulously. The room was utterly quiet except for their steady breathing and the faint click of the mouse. Their shoulders almost touched. Lola could smell his faint woody scent clearly, soothing and reassuring, calming her restless heart instantly. Eli's fingers were steady and precise, every revision accurate and professional. He explained professional knowledge in a low, slow voice, sorting out her design ideas, optimizing details and highlighting the core theme clearly and understandably. The previously stiff and messy draft became fluent, advanced and textured under his careful modification. Lola stared at the improved work, her tense nerves relaxing completely, filled with gratitude and warmth. She stole a glance at the man beside her, his deep-featured face softened by the lamplight, earnest and mesmerizing. With him around, all her anxiety and confusion vanished quietly. See? The theme is more prominent, the layers richer, and the overall texture much better. Eli finished the final revision and turned to her with a gentle smile. You have great talent, you just haven't found the right direction yet. Don't push yourself too hard. Thank you so much, Eli. Lola's eyes lit up with gratitude. You saved me. I would've stayed up all night stuck on this. It's fine. Eli closed her laptop softly, reminding her gently. It's very late, pack up and rest. Don't burn the midnight oil too often. You can learn work skills slowly, no need to rush. Okay. Lola nodded obediently. He turned to leave but paused at the door, looking back at her with an even softer tone. Don't be too hard on yourself. You're doing amazing. Take it slow as a newcomer. I'm always here for you. No grand promises, only solid reassurance and steadfast backing. Warmth flooded Lola's heart, sweeping away all her tiredness and grievance. After the door closed, Lola sat at her desk for a long time, dazed. She covered her burning cheeks with both hands, her heart pounding wildly, surging with uncontrollable affection. She was falling deeper and deeper in love with Eli. She loved his calm steadiness, his patience and kindness, his devotion to his family, his hidden restrained preference for her, and his gentle sincerity after all life's hardships. This love was pure, passionate and sincere, growing stronger day by day without restraint. The next morning, Lola went downstairs to find warm breakfast already prepared on the table. Eli sat at the table eating with Mia, bathed in soft morning sunlight. He glanced up at her and spoke habitually. Come have breakfast while it's warm. Dad, did you help sister with her homework last night? Mia asked in a milky voice while biting toast. Eli smiled softly and nodded. Yes, I helped sister fix a little work problem. Dad is super cool. Sister is super cool too. Mia clapped her hands proudly, her little face full of admiration. Lola smiled warmly at the harmonious father and daughter, sitting down to enjoy her breakfast. After breakfast, Lola submitted her revised design draft smoothly. In the afternoon, the preliminary review result came out. Her work passed with flying colors and received high praise from her supervisor, who commended its innovative creativity, delicate details and superior texture. Chapter 5 Silent Longing and Unspoken Boundaries. The dinner table was filled with rich aromas that evening. Apart from the lemon butter salmon Lola loved, Eli also baked creamy mushroom risotto, roasted tender asparagus, and a small strawberry cream tart specially for celebration. Warm golden lamplight spilled over the tableware, gilding every dish with a soft, inviting glow. Mia sat upright in her small chair, her little hands clutching the candy box Lola had given her, glancing up at the two adults across the table every few seconds with bright, curious eyes. She chewed slowly, then suddenly piped up in her milky childish voice, swinging her short legs under the table. "Dad, sister's flowers look so pretty by the window. Can we buy flowers every day?" Eli cut a tiny piece of salmon free of bones and placed it on Mia's plate, the corner of his mouth tugging into a faint smile. "If sister likes flowers, we can pick a small bouquet together on weekends." His gaze drifted subtly to Lola as he spoke, the quiet fondness hidden deep in his eyes impossible to fully mask. Lola's heart skipped a beat, and she lowered her head to stir the risotto in her bowl, hiding the faint pink tint creeping across her cheeks. "I don't need fresh flowers every day, just occasionally is enough. It's already such a warm home as it is." The words slipped out before she could hold them back, carrying more attachment than she intended. She'd only lived in this shared apartment for barely over a month, yet this space with Eli and Mia had long replaced the empty rental dormitories she'd stayed in before graduation, becoming the first place that truly made her feel at home in London. Eli's movements paused slightly, his deep eyes locking onto her face for a brief moment. Years of loneliness after his divorce had left him convinced he would never again crave the trivial warmth of family life. But every small word, every bright smile from Lola wove a soft net around his guarded heart, slowly melting the cold wall he built around himself to protect Mia and avoid emotional hurt. He knew he should keep his distance. She was 22, fresh out of college, standing at the starting line of a brilliant, unrestrained life full of infinite possibilities. He was 32, carrying the scars of a failed marriage, bound by the lifelong responsibility of raising a young daughter. There was a decade separating them in age, vastly different life trajectories, and worldly eyes that would surely judge their connection harshly if their hidden feelings ever surfaced. Reason screamed at him to stay within the boundary of polite flatmates, yet his heart betrayed him every single day, leaning toward her sunshine without resistance. After dinner, Lola insisted on washing all the tableware and wiping down the kitchen countertop. Eli did not argue with her, instead taking Mia to the living room to flip through picture books. The sound of running water from the kitchen mixed with Mia's soft questions and Eli's low, patient explanations, weaving a gentle, tranquil melody that filled every corner of the apartment. When Lola finished cleaning and walked back into the living room, Mia was already curled up against Eli's shoulder, drowsy from the full meal and warm atmosphere, her long eyelashes fluttering slowly as she fought sleep. "Let me carry her to bed," Lola whispered softly, stepping forward gently so she wouldn't startle the little girl. Eli shook his head slightly, wrapping one arm securely around Mia's small body. "I've gotten used to it. Her sleep is light, strangers' movements will wake her easily." His tone was quiet, and he stood slowly, careful not to jostle the dozing child in his arms. "Wait here for a minute, I'll be right back." Lola nodded, settling onto the soft gray fabric sofa, her gaze lingering on his tall, steady back as he walked toward Mia's bedroom. The living room fell silent without the child's chatter, only the faint rustle of evening wind brushing against the window leaves drifting in from outside. She turned her head to look at the cream roses arranged on the windowsill, their petals glowing softly under the warm lamplight, just like the quiet, unspoken affection lingering between her and Eli. A few minutes later, Eli returned to the living room, his footsteps light and slow. He sat down on the opposite end of the sofa, leaving a moderate gap between them, yet his eyes never left Lola's face. Your supervisor's praise must mean a lot to you, he said softly, breaking the gentle silence. It's rare for new graduates to stand out in the first draft review. Lola twisted her fingers slightly in her lap, a faint shy smile tugging at her lips. I still have so much to learn. If you hadn't stayed up late helping me adjust the details last night, my draft would have been full of stiff, disjointed sections. I really don't know how to thank you properly. There's no need for formal thanks between flatmates, Eli replied, his voice mellow and soothing, like warm tea on a rainy night. I can see how passionate you are about design. It's only natural to lend a hand when you hit a roadblock. His words maintained a gentle, distant politeness, yet Lola could sense the underlying care buried beneath them. He never made grand gestures or flowery decorations, but every trivial detail of daily life revealed his thoughtfulness, remembering her tasting food, waiting for her to get off work during storms, staying up to guide her design revisions, silently preparing hot milk for her late-night work sessions. This quiet, consistent tenderness was far more touching than any deliberate romantic gesture. She hesitated for a moment, then voiced the thought that had lingered in her mind for days. Eli, have you ever felt lonely these past 3 years, raising me alone? The question caught Eli off guard. He stared at the floor for a long beat, a faint, bitter softness flickering across his jawline. For years, acquaintances only offered superficial sympathy or empty comfort about his broken marriage and single parenthood. No one had ever sincerely asked if he felt lonely beneath his calm, composed exterior. Sometimes, he admitted honestly, no false pretense in his tone. When Mia falls asleep at night, after I finish work and tidy the house, the apartment can feel extremely quiet. For a long time, I thought this empty dullness would be my life forever, only work and Mia, no extra warmth, no one to share trivial daily joys with. He lifted his eyes to meet hers, deep emotion swirling in his dark pupils, restrained and soft. Then you moved in. Everything changed. Lola's breath hitched lightly, her heart pounding wildly in her chest. The unspoken meaning hidden in his words hung thick in the warm air between them, too clear to ignore. She wanted to blurt out that she felt the same, that every ordinary morning and quiet evening spent with him and Mia made her feel complete, yet fear held her tongue back. She worried about the 10-year age gap, worried about Mia's future, worried about gossip from others, worried that her reckless confession would shatter the peaceful, warm life they built together. The fragile, beautiful balance of their cohabitation was too precious to risk breaking. She forced a relaxed smile, shifting her gaze to the window to ease the heavy, tender tension. I'm glad I could bring a little liveliness to this place. It's been such a comfort living here after graduating, away from my family. Eli recognized her quiet retreat, and he reined in the surging emotion in his heart, reverting to his gentle, distant flatmate tone. You're welcome to stay as long as you like. The lease can be renewed whenever you want. The conversation drifted to lighter topics after that, her upcoming design projects, the quiet scenery of Hyde Park, Mia's favorite picture books and small quirks. They chatted softly until the clock ticked close to 11 at night, then bid each other goodnight and retreated to their separate bedrooms. Lola lay awake on her bed for hours, staring at the sycamore branches swaying outside her south-facing French window, her mind endlessly replaying Eli's quiet confession from the living room. Her heart was tangled in a mess of sweet joy and tangled hesitation, trapped between the longing to lean into his tenderness and the rational fear of disrupting their peaceful life. Chapter 6: A sudden cold wave and hidden care. A sharp cold wave swept across London 3 days later. Overnight, the mild summer breeze turned bitter and chilly, with grey heavy clouds hanging low over the city every day, and intermittent drizzle soaking the streets non-stop. The temperature plummeted sharply, catching many residents off guard without thick outerwear ready. Lola only owned thin lightweight jackets suitable for warm weather. She packed light clothes when moving after graduation, never anticipating such an abrupt temperature drop in June. On her way to work the first morning of the cold snap, she wrapped her thin knit cardigan tightly around her shoulders, shivering all the way on the subway, her fingers numb with cold by the time she reached the design studio. By noon, she was sniffling slightly, her throat scratchy and sore from the continuous cold wind. She sipped lukewarm hot water at her desk, rubbing her stiff shoulders repeatedly, already dreading the long cold walk back to the apartment after overtime that evening. She did not mention her discomfort to Eli in their casual midday chat message, not wanting to trouble him with trivial complaints about the weather. But Eli noticed the subtle hint in her short reply, the faint weariness between her lines, and instantly guessed she'd been caught unprepared by the sudden cold wave. After Mia's afternoon nap, he wrapped the little girl in a thick wool coat and took her to a nearby clothing boutique in Notting Hill. He carefully picked out a loose soft beige wool cardigan for Lola, light enough to wear indoors, thick enough to block the outdoor wind, in the warm cream shade that suited her fair skin and bright temperament. He also bought a box of honey lemon lozenges for her sore throat, and a thick thermal scarf lined with soft fleece. Mia held his hand tightly, tilting her head to watch him select clothes. Her smile was curious. "Dad, is this pretty coat for sister?" Eli nodded, tucking a stray curl behind Mia's ear. "Sister doesn't have thick clothes for the cold weather. This will keep her warm when she walks home tonight. Can I pick a small hair clip for sister too?" Mia pointed at a shelf of delicate golden hair clips shaped like little sunflowers, her eyes sparkling eagerly. "Sister's blonde curls will look pretty with them." Eli smiled and let her choose one sunflower hair clip, adding it to the paper bag alongside the coat and lozenges. On the walk back to the apartment, Mia clutched the bag's handle tightly, taking her responsibility of picking a gift for Lola extremely seriously. That evening, Lola finished overtime later than usual. The cold drizzle was pouring down harder when she exited the studio building, and she stood under the awning shivering, debating whether to dash to the subway in the rain. Before she could make up her mind, a familiar black sedan pulled up slowly at the curb, the passenger window rolling down to reveal Eli's calm, gentle face. "Get in quickly," he called out over the patter of rain. "I brought you something to keep warm." Lola hurried into the passenger seat, instantly wrapped in the car's warm heating and his faint woody scent. She rubbed her cold numb hands together, letting out a small relieved sigh. "You didn't need to come pick me up again, the rain will stop soon." Mia insisted we come wait for you. Eli glanced toward the back seat, where the little girl sat strapped into her child safety seat, clutching the paper bag against her lap. "She helped pick out a few things for you today." Mia leaned forward, holding the bag out with both small hands, her round face glowing with pride. "Sister, look! Dad bought you a warm coat, and I picked a sunflower clip for your hair." Lola took the paper bag gently, her chest swelling with soft, overwhelming warmth. She pulled out the beige wool cardigan first, running her fingers over the soft thick fabric, then spotted the lemon lozenges and tiny golden sunflower hair clip tucked at the bottom of the bag. Her eyes stung faintly with soft emotion. He'd noticed her cold discomfort without her saying a single word, and even brought Mia along to select thoughtful small gifts for her. "Thank you so much, both of you," she whispered, twisting the hair clip lightly between her fingers. "It's the sweetest surprise I've ever gotten." On the drive home, Eli adjusted the car's heating higher, turning on soft instrumental music to chase away the chill in the air. Mia chattered non-stop from the back seat, telling Lola all about their trip to the boutique, her childish ramblings filling the quiet car with warm liveliness. Back at the apartment, Lola immediately put on the new wool cardigan. The soft fabric wrapped around her body, locking in warmth instantly, chasing away all the cold that had seeped into her bones throughout the day. She clipped the sunflower hair clip into her blonde curls, turning to face Eli and Mia with a bright, glowing smile. "How do I look?" "Super beautiful." Mia clapped her hands wildly, bouncing up and down on the carpet. Eli's gaze lingered on her for a long moment, soft warmth flooding his dark eyes. The cream cardigan matched her bright aura perfectly, the tiny sunflower clip glinting in her hair under the lamplight, making her look like a warm ray of sunlight trapped indoors against the gray rainy cold outside. "It suits you perfectly," he said quietly, sincere admiration lacing every word. That night, Eli simmered a pot of warm ginger honey tea, pouring a full mug for Lola to soothe her scratchy throat. He set the mug on her bedroom desk before she settled into work on design drafts, leaving a small note beside the cup. "Drink while hot, don't stay up too late." Lola stared at the neat, gentle handwriting on the scrap of paper long after he left her room, her heart overflowing with tangled, sweet longing. No one had ever cared for her with such silent, meticulous thoughtfulness before, not her distant family, not her college classmates, not any fleeting acquaintance. Eli's love was never loud or dramatic. It hid in every small, unremarkable detail of daily life, steady and unshakable. She sipped the sweet warm ginger tea slowly, glancing out the window at the pouring rain, knowing fully that her quiet crush on this gentle single father was far deeper than a fleeting infatuation. Yet the invisible wall between them, the age gap, his past marriage, Mia's childhood, still held her back from speaking her heart aloud. Chapter 7: Weekend Park Stroll and Hidden Confession. The cold wave faded by Saturday morning, leaving clear, crisp weather in its wake. The rain stopped completely, and thin golden sunlight filtered through the sycamore tree leaves, casting dappled light across the wet streets of Notting Hill. The air smelled of damp soil and fresh green grass, perfect for a leisurely outdoor walk. After breakfast, Mia clung to Lola's arm, tugging her toward the door repeatedly, begging to go back to Hyde Park to feed the swans by the lake. Eli packed a canvas tote bag filled with strawberry snacks for Mia, a pack of bird feed, and a thermos of warm fruit tea for Lola, then grabbed the fleece scarf he bought her 3 days prior. "Wrap this around your neck, the wind by the lake is still chilly," he said, stepping forward to drape the soft scarf gently over her shoulders. His fingers brushed lightly against the base of her neck as he adjusted the fabric, a fleeting warm touch that sent a shiver racing down Lola's spine. She froze in place for a split second, staring up at his close, gentle face, before quickly dropping her gaze to hide her flustered cheeks. The three of them walked slowly toward Hyde Park, side by side along the tree-lined sidewalk. Mia skipped ahead between them, darting after butterflies fluttering above the damp lawns, her crisp laughter echoing down the quiet street. Lola and Eli walked at a slower pace behind her, their shoulders occasionally brushing as they strolled, a quiet, comfortable silence settling between them most of the time, broken by soft casual chatter about trivial daily things. When they reached the lakeside inside the park, Mia grabbed the bag of bird feed and ran straight to the water's edge, scattering crumbs for the white swans gliding across the lake's surface. Lola stood beside Eli, watching the little girl's joyful figure with a soft smile tugging at her lips. "She's so much livelier than when I first moved in," Lola said quietly, her gaze fixed on Mia. "You must have been so lonely taking care of her alone all those years." Eli leaned against the wooden lakeside railing, his eyes fixed on Mia as well, his tone soft and reflective. "I'd grown used to the quiet, even if it felt empty sometimes. I thought Mia would always be a shy, reserved child who never warmed up to strangers easily. The day you knocked on our apartment door, I never imagined you'd bring so much joy to both of us." He turned his head to look at her directly, his deep eyes unguarded, all hidden restraint momentarily slipping away. "Lola, these past few months with you around have been the happiest I've had since my marriage ended. I wake up every morning looking forward to seeing your smile at the breakfast table, and I find myself rushing home each evening just to hear your footsteps on the stairs." Lola's heart hammered violently against her ribs, her breath catching in her throat. The unspoken feelings she buried deep inside her heart had finally been laid bare by him, plain and unmissable. All her tangled hesitation, all the quiet nights spent overthinking their complicated situation, melted away in the face of his sincere, soft confession. I feel exactly the same, she whispered, her voice light and trembling with suppressed emotion. I came to this city alone after graduation, with no family nearby, always feeling adrift and lonely. Living with you and Mia gave me a real sense of belonging. I look forward to every quiet evening we spend together, every small warm moment we share. The distance between them shrank imperceptibly, the air thick with tender, unspoken affection. The lake water shimmered golden under the sunlight, swans gliding silently past them, and Mia's distant happy laughter faded into soft background noise. For a long moment, neither of them spoke, simply gazing into each other's eyes, all hidden longing laid bare without fear of judgment. Eli was the first to pull back slightly, his expression softening with quiet worry, the rational part of his mind reasserting itself. I don't want to rush you. There's a lot standing between us, the 10 years between our ages, my past marriage, Mia's upbringing, the gossip people might talk about. I don't want my burdens to hold you back from a carefree young life. Lola shook her head firmly, reaching out to lightly brush her fingertips against the back of his hand resting on the wooden railing. I don't care about the age gap or other people's opinions. I don't want a carefree empty life without warmth. The happiness I feel with you and Mia is worth every little difficulty we might face later. I don't want to pretend to be just flatmates anymore, hiding how I feel every single day. Her bold words startled Eli slightly, yet a bright, relieved smile slowly spread across his face, the first truly unreserved, unrestrained smile he'd worn in 3 long lonely years. He turned his palm over to lace his fingers gently through hers, his grip soft and steady, as if holding onto the most precious ray of sunshine in his gray, monotonous life. Mia suddenly ran back toward them at that moment, clutching a small white feather she'd picked up by the lake, oblivious to the quiet shift between the two adults. Dad, sister. Look what I found. A swan feather. They quickly separated their intertwined hands, yet the soft warmth lingering between them was impossible to hide. Lola bent down to admire Mia's feather, her cheeks flushed pink, and Eli stood beside them, a faint, permanent smile lingering on his lips, his heart light and full for the first time in years. They spent the rest of the afternoon wandering the park hand in hand when Mia wasn't watching, sharing soft quiet words about their hopes for the future. They agreed to take things slow, to let Mia grow used to the subtle shift in their relationship gently, to face any outside judgment together as a quiet, united small family. As they walked home at dusk, the sun sinking low behind the London skyline painting the clouds soft orange and pink, Mia trotted between them, clutching one of Lola's hands and one of Eli's hands, swinging their linked arms back and forth with unbridled joy. The 3 of them strolled slowly along the tree-lined street, wrapped in warm sunset glow, stepping toward a quiet, bright future they would build side by side, bound by gentle, unshakable love.